If you're a young artist and you're trying to get your name out there, then I believe content is content. Attention is attention. Even if people are speaking ill of you, at least they're speaking about you. I would think that that's how the artist would perceive it. And if it took you a week to make a record where you could potentially reach 50,000 people, why wouldn't you rather choose to make an Instagram video that takes you 1 minute to make, where you could threaten somebody or just, say that you weren't jumped by somebody? Why wouldn't you rather make a video like that for 1 minute where you could potentially reach 300,000, 500,000 people? And the reason why you reach that many people is because rap media is now doing what rap media has sort of always done, to sensationalize things. Years ago, you had Vibe magazine, who put out their cover in 1996, September of 1996. Now, this cover was widely considered one of the main footnotes of the East and West Coast beef. Just having Biggie there with that aggressive look on his face and the East and West on the cover. People don't read magazines. People just look at covers, much like people look at titles nowadays and they don't read the articles. If you want to take it a step further, then you had sites like Bossip, that it was text and pictures. Then we take it a step further and we go to World Star Hip Hop, where you finally began to see this content come at you by way of video. So it was a lot easier to consume. This is what quote unquote media, rap media, has always done. It's always sensationalized things. It's always brought about this negative energy and promoting the worst part about the culture. Because now what you have is you have commentators that not only give you those images that World Star Hip Hop gave you, but now they give you direct quotes of these particular conflicts, and now they add their own context to it. They instigate. They make the situation a lot worse than it would have been if they wouldn't have stepped in the first place. Dom is Live is one of these YouTubers that speak about the everyday minutia of young artists, the crazy shit that they do, with the money phones and the chains and jumping people at shows and telling people to pull up and people threatening each other and all this gang affiliation and talking about court dates, just stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with the music. So this conflict that happened recently that some of you may be aware of, a few days ago with Tekashi69, where he was allegedly jumped in Minnesota, a show that he was supposed to do, but he ended up not doing. And a group of people jumped him. Tekashi69 then jumped online and made one of those videos with so much reach. And he made a video and said that nobody had touched him. He's never been touched. He's never going to be touched. Now, Tekashi69 seems to have some sort of allegiance with DJ Akademiks. Now, with that, we now begin to see how media in hip-hop sort of emulates the media out there in the big world, when you have your CNNs and you have your Fox Newses. Because DJ Akademiks is now being accused of not delivering all the information because he wants to make Tekashi look a certain way, look better in everybody's eyes now that they have a relationship together. What Dom is Live decided to do was he decided to interview one of the people who had jumped Tekashi69 in Minnesota, or was around the area and that had seen something, a guy by the name of Cutthroat Cash. Dom interviews him, and this is what he has to ask.
But I want to ask you this, man. On the first day where everything went down, right, in the video, is that him backing down? And wait, and I say backing down. What I'm trying to say is, like, it looked like it was him and a bunch of other people in a situation. And I said the guy was backpedaling. He didn't like when I said that. I mean, but look, if you start off on the 20-yard line and you end up on the freaking 50-yard line and you only been facing forward, and you know what I'm saying, and your feet are going back, and you backing back. He didn't like when I said that. You feel me? He didn't like when I said that. One guy was trying to square up with him. If you watch the video, one guy is trying to square up with him. He didn't want to swing no paws.
Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand the intent behind asking him, was that really him? Because in my mind, all you're really doing is just confronting Tekashi. So for the world to see, is Tekashi as tough as he claims to be? Now, I want to say this. I understand that Tekashi69 makes videos and he wants people to test his gangster, is what he says. That's something that he's creating for himself. And to interview people with the intent to find out whether that's consistent or whether it's true or genuine or not is really a fool's errand. I mean, it doesn't hold any journalistic sense. If you want to consider yourself a journalist, one thing that you have to remember is that the journalist is supposed to care about the subject. They're not wanting to bring harm to the subject and sensationalize the whole situation so it can all blow up and you can profit off of it. That's not what journalism is. That's TMZ.
Yo, Cash, man, thanks for coming to talk to me. I just wanted to give you guys, like, your side of the story. Like I said, man, I keep seeing videos of you guys, like, saying that your side's not getting out there and only one side is getting out there. And I know that. And what happens is, when that's happening, that's going to fuel a flame that just can't be put out. When people can't get their voices heard, and you're putting out this narrative that, you know, that makes them look hella soft and this and that, a flame is being ignited. And I don't want that.
Right.
The claim of giving someone a voice sounds good. Like, it sounds really good when you look at it from a surface level standpoint. When you look at it from a standpoint of where, Tekashi gets to have his side of the story said on Akademiks' channel. And now, since I have a big following myself, I'm simply giving you a voice. That give a voice thing is very, very tricky because it's not like, you know, this guy in Minnesota, this Cutthroat guy, he's not exactly the disenfranchised, you know, black Americans who don't get to have a voice. And now Colin Kaepernick is going to kneel and give those people a voice. He's not a victim. Okay, he's not a victim. He was involved in something that he shouldn't have been involved in. And now to say that he needs to give his side of the story it's just not true. It's a stupid situation where nobody needs to be informed about this. No one has to. There isn't something that he's struggling with internally to not get out there. All this does is create conflict. This creates conflict because the very nature of rap, the undertone of everything is just masculinity. It's all about posturing. It's all about I'm harder than you. That's where the competition comes from. That's where the battle, the aura sort of begets. But it all starts with all that posturing. And when you start to put your finger on somebody's chest and say that they are not who they say they are, then you're no longer a journalist anymore. You are a talking head, and now you have an agenda. This is very similar to something that happened with Vlad TV years ago where the Joe Budden and Ransom beef had been going on, and Vlad was accused of being one of the instigators of the situation that resulted in someone getting slapped.
Come in the room, defend yourself.
Vlad don't like Capone.
He stirred up the whole Ransom Joe Budden shit. If it wasn't for
Vlad don't like Capone.
Ransom and Joe Buttons wouldn't have beef.
Right. Let's just say that Nori and Vlad are having a conversation. And you like, yo, Vlad, Capone is this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? But this is between you and me. Don't say nothing. And I run over to Capone and like, yo, check it out. Nori was telling me the other day that you're this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
That is some instigating shit.
Absolutely.
That's instigating.
That's clear instigating.
But if Nori gets on TV
and says, then Capone, all right.
Capone is this, that, and the third to millions of people.
Right.
And then you know, Capone wants to answer.
Right.
And wants to do it through Vlad TV.
Right.
That is not instigating.
God damn it.
That is journalism, and that's giving people a platform.
That's true.
Because you got 57th Ave and you got your platform. Your man may not have a platform. He want to use Vlad TV as that platform. And that's what it is. It's journalism.
The idea of I can put this out because they already personally put it out is completely absurd. And I understand the logic. I understand the ape-like logic of, well, he put it out first, so if he put it out, then I have all the right in the world to put it out. You should talk to him. I understand that. This is the easiest way I can explain it to people. If you're at a football game, and this normally happens towards the tail end of the game when it's a blowout, and a streaker runs out into the field, what happens with the telecast and what happens with the Jumbotron out in the field. I'll tell you what they don't do. The people who are broadcasting the game pan the camera away from the person who is running out into the field. And they do not put this maniac on the Jumbotron in the stadium. And the reason why they do that is because they understand that this person is doing it for attention, and they don't reward shitty behavior. Because what they hope is that if they don't put the camera or the Jumbotron on this idiot, people will stop doing it. So the idea of, well, he runs out into the field, tell him not to run out into the field. Then we won't record him. You see how it's a cycle? You see how you feed into it? When you don't understand the power that you have as the media, when you don't understand the power that you have as a platform, you don't understand that turning away from this is probably the best decision that you could possibly make. The idea of giving a voice to someone who just simply jumped an artist is just as crazy as people putting microphones in Orlando Anderson's face right after he allegedly shot Tupac. Orlando Anderson is somebody who's been always a person of interest in the murder of Tupac. Whether he did it or not, I have no clue. I don't know about the inner workings and all the moving parts in that situation. But he is a name that always comes up when it comes to the murder of Tupac. Say if he punched Tupac in the face, and all of a sudden we give him a microphone and we let him speak his side of the story. What would that do other than instigate and create more people just like him? More streakers running along the field. The streakers have nothing to do with the game. The football is the game. The streakers on the field. There's a very big difference. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that this particular conflict is going to lead to something as extreme as Biggie and Tupac. But what I am saying is that in the future, that's potentially what could happen. The music also takes a huge blow because of this dynamic with the media and with the music. As I said before, if content is content, and it takes you a lot shorter time to reach a lot more people by putting out a lazy post instead of making a record about somebody. I'd like to hear records about what happened at Minnesota. That's what I would rather hear, rather than somebody just candidly going on camera and speaking about it. So the music takes a blow because artists just become lazier. If they find out that their biggest reach, their biggest possibility of getting known is conflict, then why would they ever put out music? Why would they ever put out good music? Take a look, man. All these 10 artists that you mostly see and hear about on these blogs, you have no idea what they've done musically. You don't know anything except their conflict. And I don't think that's necessarily the fault of the artist. The artist is just simply taking shape in what we think they should become. The media speaks for what the public wants. Except the media is a lot more powerful than it realizes. What do you guys think about this situation? Please let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time.
I hate World Star Hip Hop. I hate Bossip. I hate all that shit. I hate fucking Wendy Williams. I hate anybody that does hack shit to get money. I think that's hack shit. They ride other people's backs and coattails to get where they at, to get their positions. And then what do they do after that? Because if they didn't have y'all people here, they wouldn't even be existing right now. What if World Star took y'all business? Let's say your mother had cancer and World Star put that shit up for the world to see. Would you fuck with them again after that? No. But I bet you $5 if you were somebody with a name behind you, they'd do that shit in a heartbeat. I hate all that shit, man. Fuck that. That shit has nothing to do with hip-hop. It's not hip-hop.